Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, Na'aseh v'natzliach. I'd like to welcome everybody to IRONSIDE Lunch and Learn. This week's parasha is Parashat Vayishlach. Sefer Bereshit is, there's so many things you can speak about. This week, I'd like to speak about Yaakov a little bit. The parasha begins, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav el Esav, achiv arza seir tzedei Edom. So, in order to understand what's happening here on the first pasuk, we have to go back to last week's parasha. Last week's parasha, Esav is running away. Yaakov is running away. In the beginning of the parasha, he's running away from his brother. At the end of the parasha, he's running away from Lavan. And right now, as he's running away from Lavan, who comes back into the picture? Esav, the guy that he originally was fighting from. So the first pasuk starts, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav. There's a beautiful, beautiful chidush over here. He says, the rabbis tell us, Chazal say, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim. Don't read it lefanav, read it lepanav, to his face. What does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a special chair. It's called Kisei HaKavod. This Kisei HaKavod has 4 images on it. One of a lion, one of an eagle, one of an ox, and one of a human being's face. And the human being's face is the face of Yaakov Avinu, which, by the way, looks like Adam HaRishon. They say Dikyuno Shel Yaakov is the face or the profile of Yaakov Avinu is the one of Adam HaRishon. So he says, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim. Yaakov had angels, and he sent them upstairs. He says, go upstairs, go take a look at my face. Look at my face over there. See if I'm happy or if I'm sad. If I'm happy, I'm continuing with my journey. If I'm sad, it's a sign that I shouldn't move forward. So when the first pasuk says, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav, don't read it lefanav, read it lepanav. He's checking to see if this is going to be a safe journey. Now, you have to look very carefully at all the words that are being used right now. It says, he's sending angels in front of him, El Esav Achiv. We know that Esav is Achiv. Why would they say Esav and then use the word Achiv as well? He says, I want to know, is he right now acting like Esav, that wicked man that he's known for? Or is he acting like Achi, like my brother? Who is he right now? Is he Esav or is he my brother? Now, if you can go on to the next few Pesukim, it says that Yaakov tells the angels, Ko tomru le'adoni Esav, Ko amar avdecha Yaakov. This is your servant Yaakov is telling you. In other words, he's trying to show him, I'm coming in good faith. Im Lavan garti v'achar adata. He says, I just came from this place, my brother, my father-in-law's place, Lavan. Rashi says over there, when it says Im Lavan garti, he says Im Lavan garti v'tariag mitzvot shamarti. If you take the word garti, switch it around the formation of the words, it turns into tariag. He's telling him, listen, I lived with the biggest rasha, bigger than you possibly, and I still kept all the mitzvot. In other words, I'm a righteous man. I'm a tzaddik. Continues to say, Vayhi lishor v'chamor. He says, it's starting to let him know that I have a lot of cattle. I got sheep, I got bulls, I got cows. But over here, the hidden message is Tav Vayhi lishor v'chamor. And goes, and by the way, I have both characteristics inside of me. Shor is a wild animal. It's an angry animal. Chamor, it's more docile, more of a calm animal, So Yaakov is telling Esav, Vayili shor v'chamor. How do you want to do this? Do you want me to come with you with the attitude of a shor? All angry, all huffing and puffing? I can do that. Or do you want me to come with the attitude of chamor, more docile, more peaceful? In other words, he's sending messages over here with his angels to let him know, how do you want to do this? We're going to meet each other. How do you want to encounter one another? Further on, Yaakov begins to do something very interesting. As a matter of fact, a lot of people learn this parasha to learn how to travel, to learn how to handle family life, and how to handle business. I'll give you a couple of tips. It says over here,
also war.
Exactly, going to war as well. It says Yaakov split up his family. And basically, what's going on over here? Basically, we have Yaakov going to meet Esav. In the process, he's got 4 wives, 11 children, a bunch of livestock. This is not like it's not like a guy getting into an Uber and going from one town to the next. We're talking about, this is a serious a train of people that's coming through. So in order for it not to be ayin hara, and in order it to come across properly, Yaakov said, I'm dealing with Esav. Esav is a rasha. What's the way to do? How do you deal with a rasha? He says, typically those people, they like gifts. Not only that, like free gifts. So what did he do? He started to send the gifts ahead. And talks about how many camels he sent, how many cows, how many bulls, and he spaced them out. He sent like 10 or 20, and then a big, like maybe a mile or 2 between, and then another one, so like that, and then another one, and another one, and then another one. So like that, when Esav sees, the angels come, he sees non-stop gifts coming through. In other words, and when a person sees it, like, oh, wow, I'm honorable. Look at how they're treating me over here. So he starts the whole gifting. And later on, when it gets closer for him to meeting the family, he split up the family in 2. First, he sent the family with the kids of the Shfachot, and later on, he did of Leah and Rachel. He actually sent everybody ahead, and he hid Dinah. Dinah, he didn't show to Esav. The rabbis tell us, had he shown Dinah to Esav, Esav would have done teshuvah, he would have married her, and he would have been able to go to a much higher level and not be a rasha. Yaakov later on gets punished for doing that, for holding back Dinah from his own brother, from doing a shidduch of his own daughter to his own brother, which at that time was allowed. Here we learn a few life lessons. When a person is traveling, you can see this a lot, that when a person is traveling, let's say taking a flight, he shouldn't take a flight, him and his 11 children. Split it up. Split up the camp. Let the mom go with a few kids, let the father go with a few kids. One goes in the morning, the other one goes in the afternoon, you meet in the hotel later on. Why? God forbid something happened. That's what Yaakov says. Maybe he's going to come and he's going to use his sword on me. At least half will be saved. Half the camp will be saved. Half the camp will continue. He was thinking smart. He's going against the enemy. Who is our arch nemesis all the time? The Yetzer Hara. You don't know which way he's coming. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Especially when it comes to your family, when it comes to your resources, when it comes to your finances. You have to be very, very smart in life. Yaakov here was showing us how to fight a war, how to travel, and how to deal with Goyim. Because at the end of the day, Esav became the father of Edom. Eventually, we get down to this showdown between Yaakov and Esav. And it's very, there's a big climax to it. They hug, Esav kisses him, they shed a tear, they exchange some niceties, they're actually cordial to each other, they bow down to one another, and later on they want to even continue to continue the road together. Yaakov opts out and says, go ahead, I'm going to follow you, I'll meet you there later. And later on, the next few Pesukim talk about Yaakov going back for a small can that he forgot behind. So we're going to stop here for a second. Why would he go back? He was a wealthy man. He has children. He's traveling. This is not the time to go back for a can. How much is a can? 99 cents? It's a 99-cent item. It's a $1 item. What are you going back for a can? Couldn't he have sent somebody else? What is the reasoning behind Yaakov, after such a huge encounter and his family still being in the middle of travel, to go back for this one can? It says over there, Vayivater Yaakov levado. You know what? We'll come back to that. It says over there that he went back for that can. And one thing that we can learn from it, that even though that Yaakov was very rich, he appreciated everything that God gave him. Everything that Hashem gave him, he was thankful for. Meaning, it's like me being super thankful that I own a number 2 pencil. It's like me being grateful that I have shoelaces on my shoes. Imagine, Yaakov Avinu, the father of our religion, one of the forefathers of our religion, to have that sense of gratitude, that even for the smallest thing, if Hashem wants me to have it, I'm not going to squander it. I'm not just going to throw it out. I'm going to be grateful. That's something that Hashem gave me. It's not because he was cheap. It's not because he didn't want to lose $1. He saw it as a gift from God. Now, I'll just sneak it in a little bit, just fast in there, what this can is, because obviously it's, there's the pshat, then there's the remes, then there's the sod. Tonight I'm going to go very deeply into this can, but this can is the pach shel shemen of Chanukah. How did it get there? Come in tonight to the class at the lighthouse. I'll let you know how this little pach of Yaakov came all the way to be the pach of shemen in Bet HaMikdash. But this was a very special can, and the oil that was in there was very special, and so on and so forth. However, the point of this class is that right after he came back, he encounters the angel of Esav. And this angel of Esav is the Samech Mem himself, the devil. And they fight all night. They fight all night.
The devil's wife's name is Ilit.
That's his wife's name. And we don't say it. You don't say her name. You say Lamed Yud and Taf. You don't want to say her name. Even though that we had a big chidush about her name a few weeks ago, I'll share it with you off camera. So we have this encounter of Esav's angel fighting with him. They have this whole situation where they are struggling. It comes to the break of dawn, and the Samech Mem says, "Let me go." Yaakov says, "I'm not letting you go." They fight. Eventually the devil injures Yaakov on his leg, and he gives up. Yaakov wins, and Yaakov gains the name of Israel instead of Yaakov. Okay. All this was an introduction to today's lesson. Before we deal with the scenario of Yaakov fighting the devil, let's go back and think about Yaakov. It seems that Yaakov has a little bit of a history of escapism. It seems that every time that he has a struggle in life, he escapes. He had this problem with his brother over the blessings, he runs away. He has some problems with Lavan, he runs away. He has this whole situation with Esav for the second time. Again, he wants to run away. Comes to the point of him meeting with Esav's angel, and you see that they're fighting, and eventually what's the whole fight? The whole fight is about to get away from one another. So one would say, Yaakov, what are you running away from? What is this escapism that you're demonstrating? Not only that, Yaakov Avinu, he is the choicest of all our forefathers. We can, the best of all the avot can be a guy that runs away. That can be the character of a Jew. Now, in this particular situation, when he's fighting with the devil himself, notice that the injury to the leg means that one thing happened over here. There's no running away. A person who's injured typically can't run away. He might limp away, he might walk away, but right now he is forced to deal with the issue. He was forced to deal with the devil himself. In other words, maybe Esav was one challenge. Maybe Lavan was one challenge. Maybe everything that he was dealing with in life were certain challenges, and he was able to find a different way of getting around it. But what we're learning over here, that there's no escaping the Yetzer Hara. So Yaakov said, you know what, if there's no escaping for Yetzer Hara, what I do here today will stand for all my children forever and ever and on. So what did he do? He stood right there and he won. He stood up to his challenge and he won the devil himself. The devil begs for mercy, let me go. I can't be here, it's dawn, I got to go back to the Shamayim. And later on he gets the name of Yisrael. Now, know that escapism is not the Jewish way. Running away from life is not the Jewish way. Whether it's marijuana, whether it's alcohol, whether it's denial of situation, whether it's avoidance of life's hardships. The Jewish way is not to escape. Even though that nowadays we see that a lot of people use escapism in their life. Most people would rather not deal with it. Would rather just brush things under the carpet. This week's parasha, Yaakov Avinu comes and tells us, Maaseh avot siman lebanim. Learn from me. Learn from me. I ran away from my brother and I ran from this. Eventually, what happens? It keeps coming up. The problem keeps coming up. It's never going to go away. Unless you deal with the problem, it's going to keep coming back up in different forms. One time it's Lavan, one time it's Esav, one time it's the Malach of Esav. It's always going to come up. What did we learn in this parasha? Deal with it. And then he shows us, deal with it, you're going to win. Why? Because I won. Because Yaakov won, he gave us the power, and it transcended through all the generations, that we have the power to withstand our Yetzer Hara and actually win that war. Win that fight. And everyone has a daily war with Yetzer Hara. Everyone knows what their vices are and the things that they're struggling with. Yaakov Avinu comes to show us that we can win it. And that escapism is not the Jewish way. Eventually you have to deal with it. Now, keep in mind that most of the time when Yaakov was running away, it's not that he was scared, really. It's not that he was really trying to run away. Us as Jews, we're not looking for a fight. We're not that type of race. We don't look for a fight. We don't pick a fight. But if you start a fight with us, we'll finish it. That's the Jewish DNA. Nowadays, there's a different image of what a Jew is. Is he a softie, just reads books, he sits in the yeshiva? Is it the guy in the Tzahal uniform in Israel holding the M16 and is standing outside of a fighter jet? What's the image of a Jew? It's not the costume. It's the DNA. It's what Yaakov passed on to us, which is, we're not running away from problems, but if problems come and we have to deal with it, we have the power to defeat the devil himself. There was another fight in this week's parasha. There was a fight of Shimon and Levi, two young boys, and Shechem. Very interesting story. There's a place called Shechem in Israel, same place of Shechem today. Shechem was the mayor, the ruler of that area. He had a son by the name of Hamor. Legit, donkey, that was his name. And Dinah was walking through their part of the city, and she caught the eye of his son. He liked her, he grabbed her, he raped her, he kidnapped her. And later on he comes and tells Yaakov, my son loves your daughter. He wants to marry her. We ask her hand in marriage. And not only that, seems like it would be a great union. If you guys come over, we could do business together. You'll take our women. We'll take your daughters. You could, we could mix together. We could dwell together in Shechem, and it will be a great success. It'll work out for both of us. Yaakov Avinu tells them, you know what? We can't take anyone to be part of our family unless they do a Brit Milah. Shechem says, you know what? Brit Milah, you got it. Everybody. They all line up, they all get snipped, and on the third day, while they're all recovering from the Brit Milah, come Shimon and Levi. By the way, how old are they? 13 years old. From this week's parasha, we know that we call a man at 13, because that's the age that they were. Two boys, 13 years old, go into Shechem, and they massacre 24,000 people. So I ask you, is this honest? Is it honest to tell people to do Brit Milah and then to go kill them 3 days later? Is this what we want to teach our children? Is this what we want to teach our boys? This is how we act? I ask you these questions because I want to show you that there's always two ways to tell a story. Most people see three, but here's two ways. Typically you see this in the news today. There's a way to report a story. Right now, we reported it as if Shechem and Hamor are the nicest guys in the world. They want us to be part of them. They went ahead and they got circumcised. They didn't deserve to get massacred, right? Let me report the same story differently. Here's Shimon and here's Levi. And now they're talking. Shimon tells Levi, do you believe what's going on? They took our only sister and raped her. Where's she now? She's kidnapped. And what do they want? They want to marry her and they want us, litameh, to become tme'im like them, to be part of them. What kind of an invitation is that? Since when is the proposal for marriage rape and kidnap first? Since when is that the first preface to a perfect marriage? First I'll rape her, then I'll kidnap her, then I'll ask for her hand in marriage. Something is off over here. So Shimon and Levi, being the oldest, Reuven was also, but something else. Reuven was occupied with something else. Shimon and Levi felt it was their responsibility to respond.